What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, the backlash continues to roll into Nintendo around the Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 collection with a recent video that they posted that just even left some people confused, but we'll go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about the handheld scene as the roof for pricing continues to be tested, with the latest one just being, well, I'm just head scratching, really no other way to put it. And we'll also be talking about Sonic Racing Crossworlds coming up here soon. Well, reviews went live, things are looking good, and there's even a bit of a surprise coming the way of Capcom. All of that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or link in the description down below. And we're going to start today with Borderlands 4. As Randy Pitchford was making all the headlines just a few days ago, we now have more of a normal response, we'll say, from the studio there at Gearbox. We can see this, though, posted. This is over on their official account, saying we're reading every piece of feedback you share. Some of the things we've already begun to take action on are, and they go over field of view being one of the things, like a slider for consoles that's in testing right now, and they'll have more information on that coming very soon, as well as some of the performance issues that people are seeing specifically. I've noticed with the PS5 Pro, where you have to reset the game after so long because it starts to just drop frames constantly, and literally closing the game and reopening it seems to fix it. But the other thing being PC, as they say that those players are running into bugs and crashes. Updates to improve stability and performance already started rolling out over the weekend, and another is coming this Thursday. So there you go. You should be seeing that, I guess, going live as of right now. Even it is their top priority. That's all that really needed to be put out there, though. By the way, like, Randy spent a lot of time, even wasted time, you could say, just hanging out, just tweeting out stuff and replying to people. This is all you really needed to do. Everything else just made things worse for the most part, but that's kind of how Randy operates sometimes. He definitely gets attention on himself and the game, for better or worse. Also, it looks like Skate Story is heading to the Switch 2. This was in an announcement trailer here. And if you're unaware, Skate Story is you're a demon in the underworld. You're made out of glass, and the devil has given you a skateboard. With a simple deal, skate to the moon and swallow it, and you shall be free. It's a pretty normal, straightforward stuff that we've seen a million times in game. No, I do think the game looks really cool. And it's just a good announcement there to also have it on the Switch 2. Why not? But it is still set for 2025, waiting for the exact release date. As of now, if you go on Steam or PlayStation 5, it's still just set up with that 2025 year. So, I mean, we're getting towards the end. It should be coming up here pretty soon. But I like these different or interesting takes even on the skateboarding genre. Even something like this where it seems like it's going to be a more linear, straightforward skateboarding experience. I like the look and the style of it, and even the gameplay they've shown looks closer to, say, the original Skate, where it's more impactful when you land different tricks, or even when you just fall off your board. In this case, you made of glass, you just explode and break all over the place. Oh, and we did get the release date, or the start of the release, for Dispatch. Now, this we can see the trailer. This is a release date trailer that they put up, and this, they say, is the upcoming workplace superhero comedy adventure game, and there seems to be more strategy to it than even I was thinking, as they showed some gameplay during this trailer. It's made by a group of ex-Telltale developers. It's set for PC and PlayStation 5, starting on October 22nd. I say it's starting because what they're going to do is release episodes over the course of 4 weeks, so you get 2 episodes each week starting on October 22nd, and you can get the full season for $30. They have a deluxe version that's a little more expensive, and that comes with like a digital art book and digital comics. And, you know, I look at this and it seems like something that would be up my alley, because I do like the superhero shows like The Boys, where it's not clean-cut superheroes, all good guys. There's a lot more nuance to it, where many of them are actually bad guys, but posing as like good superheroes. So that seems to be kind of what this is, sort of a darker side of the superhero genre. But they say it's more comedy as well. But I guess, hey, I'll wait and see what happens here with at least the first couple of episodes, as I'm sure we'll get reviews really as these roll out over the few weeks starting October 22nd. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo's next big release, and that would be the collection of Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. That is due out October 2nd. Of course, there's a physical copy as well as being able to buy them separate digitally. And I did ask everyone in a poll yesterday if they were picking this up and what their strategy was when it comes to the double pack or just buying one or the other digitally, which we'll take a look at that later on in the show. But for now, Nintendo did put out an overview trailer. It was about 7.5 minutes long, and I think a lot of people saw it and went, okay, Here we go. They're going to show all the cool enhancements and upgrades and stuff they've done for these games and work to sell it to us all over again. But when you go through the trailer, you see something completely different, actually. And I think that maybe even was an aha moment for many people as well. First, though, let's start at the top here of this 7.5-minute overview trailer. And it's still not shown in 4K. I've noticed that. There is a Switch 2 enhancement version of this game. You feel like they would want to show it in the best possible light, but they keep showing it in 1080p with these uploads. So still waiting for that Switch 2 footage, I guess, here. But when you go through this, it's just an overview of both games, almost like they're reintroducing it. So more on that in a minute. It's a very basic overview of the game with transformations, power-ups being shown. They showcase Yoshi from Mario Galaxy 2. There are new storybook chapters, which is fine. There's an assist mode that it'll just make it easier for, I assume, just younger gamers there. You get more health. You can return to platforms if you fall off of them. There's a soundtrack mode, which is cool, 154 tracks. And if you have a Switch 2, 4K support and mouse mode, but it's mouse mode specifically for player 2. So that being you would then just pick up all the bits and stuff on screen and I guess even help out as they showed with some enemies in assist mode. Again, October 2nd it'll be out. The thing I noticed though is still a lot of backlash for this one. The dislikes came pouring in and it's almost outweighing even at times the likes on the video, and it's very loud when it comes to a lot of people's dismay for these games. Specifically though, not even really games, because Mario Galaxy 2, if you've played it, again, fantastic 3D platform. I mean, the first one is as well. It's just everyone looks at this and understands, yeah, there's overpriced. Nintendo just priced these way too high at $70 for the double pack or $40 each. So $80 if you get to stagger out maybe those purchases. And I think about like an alternate timeline where Nintendo announced these games and it was just $50 for the double pack. Even 60, I think people could look at and go, well, they've charged 60 for the 3D All-Stars collection that had an N64, GameCube, and a Wii game. These are two Wii games. With one, again, a lot of people look at it as the best 3D platformer ever made in Mario Galaxy 2. You can at least work to justify that in your mind, I guess. But 70 is putting it alongside of Tears of the Kingdom as pushing up the Switch 1 price barrier that we had at 60 for the longest time. And this would be technically then the second game touching that mark. So that alternate timeline where they announce it for 50 or 60, I feel like a lot of people would just be excited for this release. And it really is that difference of 10 or 20 bucks that really works in, I think, more of the principle of the matter of Nintendo really charging a lot, especially with the first few months of this generation when it comes to a lot of their software and the amiibos. Again, the hardware itself with the Switch 2, $450. That's where I thought it would be, so at least in my mind, it's about right with the hardware given and what we're seeing some of the capabilities of it to be. The software, that hard to justify that software. So this all makes sense to me. When it comes down to the what I want to do with this game exactly, the collection is interesting, like for collection purposes, sure, like to get that for your even Switch 1 collection. But I do think that's something that I don't think it's going to be limited, like the 3D All-Stars collection, which apparently is going to move to buy that. But I think this is something that will kind of flood the market and be available for a while. And I think the physical copy I could probably find down the road even used. And then with a discount on top of it, maybe at a GameStop locally when I go there one day, I could see that happening. So I'm looking at Mario Galaxy 2. That might be the move, mostly because the kid's been asking a lot about V-Bucks recently. And I'm trying to introduce them to like the golden age of games. But whenever I show them a game, is it on the Switch? Mario Galaxy 2 is, so maybe that's the move, to show them what the glory days of gaming used to be back in like technically the Wii, PS3, and Xbox 360 days. Next up, let's talk about Sonic Racing Crossworlds. We're looking at this releasing next week, and there's actually quite a bit of excitement around this game. I do like some of the marketing they've done with that recent commercial that we went over, that we're taking some shots at Nintendo, sort of reviving some of the rivalry stuff even from the 90s with the marketing. But the game itself, it looks pretty good. And they've done demos for it. People have had a chance to play it and they really enjoy it. And now we're starting to see some reviews come in, as well as one surprise reveal with Capcom getting involved. Let's start with the reviews though. You can see it's currently sitting at an 83. Now this is on the PlayStation 5. All the reviews seem to come in on that side for Metacritic. There's like 50 reviews on it right now or so. But we can start at the top with Loot Level Chill giving it a 95, saying, Sonic Racing Crossworlds is the best kart racing game you'll play in 2025, with tons of fresh ideas and more content that you could shake a chow at. That's clever. Yeah, I saw IGN give Sonic Racing Crossworlds a 9, and then Mario Kart World got an 8, and people were throwing those comparisons around. So I guess kind of the rivalry is back. Critical Hits with a 90 saying, Crossworlds is Sega's most ambitious bet in the genre, delivering fun and unpredictable chaos that directly rivals the best games in the category, even with some bugs and slightly sluggish progression. I wonder if there's just going to be a lot of grinding maybe in the game? It's hard to say. I do want to go all the way to the other side of the spectrum here. We have the Sixth Axis giving it a 60, saying while it gets plenty of fundamentals of right, the dimension hopping, character roster, and some of the extra modes don't quite stick the landing. Sonic Racing Crossworlds isn't the best karting game out there, and 13 years on from Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, it's not even the best karting game with a blue hedgehog in it. Wow. But I will say Transformed, I think that was a point lower. I think it was an 82 on Metacritic, if I'm not mistaken. This coming in at 83. It can, of course, change as more reviews come in. But the thing that I was very surprised about, this was posted by Sonic City, saying Mega Man will be the last paid DLC pack for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, showing an insert here on the physical version of the game with, there's the Mega Man logo, dead center, by the way, prime position, right above Avatar and below Minecraft, next to Pac-Man and TMNT and SpongeBob. Okay, Capcom, you gotta have something on deck for a new Mega Man game. Like, all the stuff we're seeing right now that Capcom is doing, these collections, these crossovers, the merchandise, the secret level episode. I know I'm going through it because there is a lot of hopium involved here, but there's gotta be another Mega Man game in the works. Maybe Mega Man 12 or Mega Man X9. Something, because there's too much Mega Man stuff flying around. I know it is also, hey, we can get Mega Man involved to help sell this Sonic Racing Crossworlds game, and they've kind of shown that that's been their strategy, to sort of be almost a Smash Brothers of kart racing games wrapped up in this Sonic racing game, which is a fun idea, but it keeps happening, and it makes me think that we're maybe a year or two away from some new Mega Man game. Anyway, though, at least Sonic Racing Crossworlds, hey, at some point, with the paid DLC, you'll be able to play as Mega Man driving around as the Blue Bomber up against Pac-Man and Avatar and Sonic. It's, what a world. Next up, let's talk about the PC gaming handheld sector once again, as pricing continues to go up in this sector, the selection of products, and it looks like the roof is once again being tested by the GPD Win 5. Like, take a look. This is a marketing image that was posted. This is the GPD Win 5, and you're not seeing things. The pricing on this, it's a 4 terabyte model, 64 gigabytes, it's 300, the 395. Like, this is a serious device, and we'll actually even go over and look at some of the official specs they released, but the retail price is $2,268. It does have an external battery. This is a strange one, okay? This is a handheld that does not have a battery built in, I guess, and you would need to attach the external battery to it for it to work portably. Otherwise, it does need to be plugged in. Or I guess, hey, if you use the dock, then it's kind of like a little PC at that point, right? Well, if we look over on their Indiegogo page where they're setting up here so you can throw your money in and I guess get on a list to pick one of these up. Says it's the world's first handheld console based on AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 processor, 7-inch, 120Hz gaming display, 128 gigabytes of LPDDR5X with 8,000 mega transfers per second unified memory. I'm sorry, I don't really know why you need 128 gigabytes of LPDDR5, but why not? Sure. I mean, you probably get like 32 gigabytes is probably enough for something like this with like fast memory. Okay, anyway, the battery is external. It's 80 watt hours. That should be decent, I assume, in terms of the amount of hours you can get out of it. Otherwise, it would go in a dock, and you'll have a pretty capable, I assume, PC just set up. So you could almost look at it, I guess, in the way of a laptop that doesn't fold closed. But then you also don't have necessarily, I guess, a keyboard. And this is a weird one. And the pricing, as I mentioned, certainly had some whiplash online where people went, "Whoa, that's quite high," and it is. It'd be very difficult to recommend this over really any of the other PC gaming handhelds. Even if you look at Lenovo's Legion Go 2 that we talked about being $1,350, it's still quite a bit cheaper than this. And then you look at the Steam Deck's like way over there. Hey, you want a Steam Deck? It's $400. It's like, wow, okay. I mentioned the Switch 2 is going to look like it's downright cheap by just standing still at $450, and you just see the market continue to climb. And when we get the next generation for the other systems, I'm sure we'll see some shocking price reveals all over again. But that's just kind of where we are with these portable PC handhelds, and that's one of the reasons I'm kind of hanging out waiting for Valve to make the move, because I do think they will be much more price conscious than just about any of these other companies, because they do have an obligation to try to get people to the Steam storefront, and a lot of that would have to do with them subsidizing their own handheld to get it into more people's hands. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about God of War. Sony Santa Monica is currently working on, according to rumors, 2 God of War games, or at least helping out with one and then fully developing the other. Now, one of those being that God of War 2.5D Metroidvania game. At least, again, that's what the current reports say. We're waiting for maybe next week when we have that state of play for it to be revealed, or maybe going into 2026. However, they are also working on just the next big God of War game. Shocking, I know. It's like the one thing that Sony Santa Monica really works on. And with that in mind, how exactly would they approach this based on what we saw with God of War Ragnarok? Well, we at least got some new information, this coming from Tom Henderson over on Insider Gaming in a recent podcast, where he did describe at least one element of this God of War game, and that has to do with not only Kratos being present, but also having like a curved sword that would imply that they're going to Egypt, or at least just being like Egyptian mythology. And that does make a lot of sense. It's been talked about previously, I think years ago even. Corey Barlock had mentioned that. It's like, oh, it'd be really cool to go like Egypt or something like that with the next God of War game. And I mean, think about it. They did Greek mythology. They did Norse mythology. So now you figure Kratos just shift between realms. Why not? Go to Egyptian mythology, fight some of the gods there. That could look really, really cool. And it feel different enough for what we've seen. But I do feel like when they shift between these different mythologies, you would have to change the gameplay up, because they did that going from like God of War, the original trilogy, we'll say, to then God of War, what we had in 2018, where it was a bit more closer up against the shoulder, that kind of action. I'm trying to figure out if they would play around with maybe the viewpoint or the combat once again, or even just the idea of the game. That's the thing. If they go to Egyptian mythology, but then still keep the same exact gameplay and setup of what we saw in God of War Ragnarok, for example, that's, I don't know, you feel like you can take some more creativity in the gameplay when you make that kind of a move. So that's what I'm hoping to see, is something interesting, new and unique, a cool idea for how they would approach that game when going to Egypt. So that really, really cool stuff. If this ends up being the case, it would also make a lot of sense to differentiate it and have, I guess, Kratos, by the way, interesting, go off into a new adventure, and I'm sure run into all kinds of crazy and epic battles. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you planning on buying Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 for the Switch or Switch 2? Okay, 30% are just buying the double pack. I do, again, if you get it physically, there is a collector's aspect to that. I get it. 0% are going to just buy Mario Galaxy. Makes sense. We've had it. Again, on the 3D All-Stars collection, that sold like 10 million copies. I feel like many people are good on Mario Galaxy. 16%, though, on Mario Galaxy 2. And then 53% are not interested. So it's actually 50-50 here then. 50% are buying at least something from the collection, whether it's double pack or Mario Galaxy 2. And then the other half are not interested. So I am kind of looking at this again as Mario Galaxy 2 specifically. We'll see how it turns out. I don't know if I'll get it day one. It's coming up, again, October 2nd. There's a lot of stuff coming out right now, and then also throughout that time period. But it is something that I wanted to get kind of in the idea of the family kind of checking it out as well, because it is that good of a 3D platformer. And then maybe that physical copy, I'll just kind of keep tabs on here and there, especially as we go through the holidays, and maybe something pops up on Cyber Monday or Black Friday and I get lucky. We'll see with that one. But for now, definitely keeping an eye on Mario Galaxy 2 as we go towards October. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Remix Protocol saying, we have retro achievements, and yes, It's amazing fun. Yeah, there was a whole story recently, because what's going on right now, if you have like RetroArch, you can set up achievements for older systems. And I've mentioned this before in some of the different videos where I've reviewed or gone over some of these retro gaming handhelds that keep coming out, the emulation devices that can do really well if you have specific goals in mind for emulation, like a Dreamcast or PS1, that kind of stuff. But there is an entire website that you can log into, link it to it, and you can earn achievements under a profile there for all these older, like Final Fantasy or Xenogears or stuff. It's really cool. And recently, the Wii got announced. Now, that will be happening as they got to integrate it and set it all up on the site next year. But I thought that was pretty funny. It's like, yeah, even the Wii, they're like, the Wii is getting achievements, and we're just now talking about Nintendo maybe adding achievements of some kind to their newest system. People might catch up to Nintendo by the time they finally get on board with this idea with the either the Switch 2 or maybe Switch 3 or Switch 4 at this rate. So they better hurry up. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you wanted to see how the PlayStation Vita storefront online with PlayStation Network is doing in 2025. I did a video just kind of browsing it and checking out and seeing how it was working. I'll leave that in a video right below it. Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for Newswave.